Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Wow, close by. I've been in Quebec a few days ago. The weather was gorgeous. So it's so sunny all the days. So welcome those of you who already joined our webinar. My name is Vlad. I'm from Outbox. We simplify multiple data source reporting for digital marketing teams. And today we're going to conduct a webinar, free webinar. And I hope you find it very useful because it's one of my favorite topic regarding to the decisions that business users made based on the data and eliminated blind spots that makes those decisions harder, right? So it's going to be fun. Well, I'm going to make sure you guys can see me and hear me. Please type like plus in the chat if you hear me well. There's a slight delay between like sound stream and your messages from the YouTube. So time to time, I'll circle back to chat and happy to answer your questions. Well, great. So let's start with some data collection. I'm wondering, what is the weather like in a place where you're right now? Just type me, what is like the temperature? Everyone except Margot. I believe she's in Spain. I don't want to hear about the weather in Spain. I believe there is always shine everywhere. So I have like 10 in Celsius above zero. What about you? This question a little bit tricky because I haven't put attention to the measure unit that is expected to send temperature with. So I'm curious if someone willing to send temperature in Kelvin. Hope everyone has positive temperature in Kelvin, at least in this universe. So let's back to the topic of this webinar: eliminated blind spots. Well, so just briefly overview what's going on here on the next 30 minutes. I kindly ask you to to turn off all the notification and grab your coffee and enjoy this webinar for the next 30 minutes. I'm gonna give you guys education that looks me nearly a decade, from every single day to learn all the obstacles, all the challenges to collect data, to figure out traffic sources for the visitors. And in this webinar, we gain all those insights and summarize it just to simplify your daily routine, not from a decision-making perspective only, but for preparing data, collecting data. So I would like to make it as interactive as it could be. So please send your messages and your questions and your reactions to the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer. And let's begin. Well, if you're a digital marketing leader and you set the task to digital analysts, you definitely would like to figure out on which area you should put attention on, how to deal with direct known and all unknown sources. This webinar will be definitely for you. Also, if you're a digital analyst who want to bring more value to business, right? So you would like to have, a promotion, or you inspired with the new technologies, the new way to deal with data, and you're interested to hear about best practices, I believe you find this webinar useful as well. Well, and last but not least, C-level, they are always out of time. You like in a rush, you need to make a lot of decisions, especially with lack of data. And if you want to make your team and your business a little bit way like data-driven, you definitely find this webinar extremely useful for you as well. So I do my best to mix, some practitioner technical advice and easy understand the ways to make a decision to deal with data for business users as well. So just to sum up, know what to do and how to do it in order to eliminate top 4 major blind spots in your digital marketing this year. So as me as a speaker, in a few words, I'm Vlad Fox, CEO and founder for Outbox. I'm data enthusiast. I'm in love with data. I'm author of patents and scientific articles, conference speaker. So all the ideas, all the knowledge that I'm going to share is based on the continuous indication that we support in our company and that it's inspired me in person. Agenda is the following. So what you can expect on the next 30 minutes. So first of all, we'll cover the top 1 challenge, direct non-traffic source problem. I'm wondering, please, type plus if you send a plus in the chat if you faced with the challenge of direct non increasing last few months, or you hear the question from your management, what's going on with our direct non? Can we handle it and find the true sources for those sessions? Based on our experience working with our customers, we see a lot of questions and misunderstanding about this traffic source. Just wondering if you experience the same. So while we collect those answers, the next topic would be about source of truth. So once you start dealing with data and negotiate some decisions or discuss numbers with anyone, you have to agree on the source of truth first, and it's tricky challengeable because part of the organization live in CRM and another one in Google Analytics or our analytics too. So we cover this topic as well. The third one is the closing the loop between marketing and revenue. It's a really hot topic nowadays because without clear explanation and data how marketing drives true revenue, it's hard to get approval for marketing budget, especially nowadays. Well, and last but not least, the way to analyze marketing funnel from a different angles, right? So I believe most of you are familiar with traffic acquisition sources report and performance report. I'm going to share the way to analyze actually the sales funnel from different angles and find a way valuable insights than traditional approach allows. Well, and Q&A. So please feel free to ask questions anytime and send it to the chat, or you can answer them as well at the very end in the Q&A. And I'll be more than happy to share all the links of the useful materials that save you tons of time at the end of the presentation. So stay tuned and let's begin. And a few words about Outbox for those of you who are not familiar with Outbox before. While we are leading digital analytics platform, we're recognized as the leader by GT Crowd in 2 categories, marketing analytics and e-commerce analytics. we focus on simplifying multiple data source reporting. So once data should be blended from different sources, it makes a lot of problem for analytics. So we focus especially on this area. And we're proud to empower more than 27,000 analysts worldwide to use our product and make better decisions. And last but not least, our technology is unique. We have like dedicated patent for data blending and deal with natural language. And today I'm going to share all those insights, like to handle blinded spots, especially in digital marketing. Let's start as a promise in a top one, direct non-source. So, well, what's going on with traffic source? So as far as you can find in almost every report, it's a like significant portion of conversions comes from unknown source, right? And what's the problem is that we actually cannot manage this source. We cannot increase budget. We cannot, to predict exact amount that comes from this with direct non-source. On the one hand, your business can invest a lot in traditional media like radio and TV. And once your visitors type your domain website directly in a browser, you got traffic from direct non-source. However, in most cases, for most businesses, direct non means unknown for particular session on your website. So actually this visitor in a real world comes from another source, but because of the limited cookie lifespan that is used to indicate specific user, right, concrete user, we wouldn't able indicate the very first touch point for this user because it would be recognized as a new one. So it leads us into a problem that without extending cookie lifespan, business cannot catch the very first touch point of every user and actually find the most efficient acquisition campaigns. So the way to solve this challenge is to implement server-side tracking that fits ITP restrictions. So just in order to give you an idea what's going on here, I believe you heard about the cookieless challenges and cookie restrictions. So the point is that in order to prevent users tracking on a third-party sites, browsers start limiting lifespan of those cookies. And as website owner, you are interested to extend cookie lifespan as long as you can in order to catch the very first touch point and see the whole journey of your visitors. And the way to do it is server-side cookieless. With server-side cookies, the lifespan is way longer, so that you to gain the way accurate data and information about your acquisition campaigns. So how can it look like? For instance, users come from Facebook, right, and return from organic source, and once he would visit to your website within 7 days, it would be under restriction from Safari or in a recent future from Chrome browser as well. And when he will back, he'll get a new cookie. So in acquisition report, even not the last click, but the acquisition report, this session would be associated, this user would be associated with email source. As you can see, it way higher than conversions based on the server side. So it leads to the wrong decision about the acquisition campaigns. So for instance, everyone knows that email, it's not an acquisition source, right? It's an engagement source. You can send emails to your existing customers, not to the new one if you're not a spammer, right? Well, so the first step and the first challenge that I suggest to put attention on is to implement server-side cookie-less tracking. It leads you to the way efficient decision-making in terms of dealing with acquisition channels, because now you get no more guesses regarding to the conversion sources. There are a lot of ways to implement it. You can set up Google server-side tag manager by your own on your environment, or you can use out-of-the-box solution like ours. However, the most important part is the way how cookies are set up. I'm wondering, could you please send me the plus if you already migrated to server-side, and my appreciation here, and send a question mark if you're considering to migrate to server-side tracking this year. I know that a lot of marketing teams are considering if there are some advantages and how actually server-side could influence the measure and reports. And by the way, I'm going to share on the next slide how it looks like. So for those of you who just considering cookie-less tracking setup and going to adjust your marketing, please find this guide with detailed checklist. Well, so I'm happy to share the chart from the customer that we recently onboarded to server-side tracking, and this chart represents the share of new users. And as you can see, this share significantly decreased during the testing period, like in 6 weeks. And the point is that marketing mix keep the same during all this period. However, those users start to be recognized as a returned one. That is why share of new users was decreased. So it happens because the cookies keep the same because of the longer lifespan and migrating to the server side. So once you migrate to server side cookie, you might expect decreasing of share of new users, and the changes in your performance report. So you might find decrease in the direct known portion of your sessions and different distribution between your existing traffic channels. Well, so Henrik, thank you for your question. If simple to implement, I would like to give it in a short year. Yes, unfortunately, it's hard to do it by yourself because you need data engineers to set up. If you go with Google Tech server side, and you have to maintain it and set up it correctly. There are some out-of-the-box solutions that you probably would like to consider. I don't think that it's something can be done so easy like in reporting Google Analytics. However, so I will be happy to hear concerns and questions that you face with and help you them. Well, let's jump to the second challenge. The second one is, the well-known, the many years ago before any cookie limitations were known. It is about source of truth and data discrepancy. So the challenge here is that total number of conversions that you might find in ad accounts, for instance, in Facebook, in Google Analytics, in Google Ads, and total number of conversions from Google Analytics and CRM, they're way different. It happens because every system has their own way to measure and count number of transactions. For instance, Facebook counts every assisted conversion, Google Ads provide their own algorithm. And to be honest, no service that was invented to measure your conversions on the most accurate way. It's, business of every business to do it right. So it's hard to, deal with CFO, CEO once you cannot provide accurate number for your, like business campaigns and acquisition campaigns. Well, I know how hard it is to, to say, hey, Google Analytics is not accurate data, but we use it to cover all our digital analytics needs, and there is always discrepancy between CRM and Google Analytics. And solution as simple as that. You need to rely on your custom business logic to measure campaigns, and you have to be the owner of this logic. For instance, I heard a lot of questions regarding data-driven attribution, some other machine learning algorithms, not because they're inaccurate, just because they're unexplainable. So it's hard to convince everyone in the organization to rely on some numbers once the logic behind them keep unclear, right? Well, so the solution to closing the loop between marketing and revenue is as simple as that. You need to attribute CRM conversions instead of online ones, because every organization lives around CRM data. It's a true revenue to customers, and online data, especially collected by Google Analytics, can enrich your CRM data, but not to replace it. Well, here's a short guide that you might find really useful, how to implement conversion modeling as a way to attribute it CRM transaction to your marketing channels, and put some biases. For instance, you would like to split measurement for new and returned customer, and then I said new and return. I mean new and returning from CRM criteria, not based on the visitors like in Google Analytics. Well, it's a really tricky, but once you find answers and numbers that you can rely on with heads of different departments, from sales, from financial departments, you find the way easier to convince them to negotiate any changes that you might expect in digital marketing in your responsibility area. Also, I'm happy to share success story of one of customers of ours that they have been using evaluating traffic channels by increasing SMS marketing revenue almost for 20%. So I don't want to spend much time on the technical details. I'll add a link here. You can get a presentation once you fill the form, and we'll be happy to follow you through this case study that you might find applicable and useful in your business as well, that actually unpack this approach, merging CRM data with Google Analytics data in Google BigQuery, as you can see in this case. Well, the third challenge is one of the trickiest one. So the point is that on a traditional digital marketing, CRM data is disjoined from digital analytics report. So I see that some of you guys are data analysts. So please send me what do you think about joining CRM and Google Analytics data. If you might find it valuable for a business, rank it as a 10. If you find it unvaluable, have no sense, send 0. So just your thoughts, your estimation of value of is it to make sense to for business to join CRM data and digital data in one place based on your experience. While you're sending your answers, I would like to cover this chart. So the point is that the online part of the funnel can be drilled down and analyzed from the acquisition channel perspective. So, I mean, for sure, you can split your marketing spend on the acquisition channel because you spend this money on visitors on your website and online conversions. However, once you start measure true revenue, gross margin, qualified leads, all those criteria that comes from CRM offline data, you might find really challengeable to join these data with acquisition channel. Some of the business managed to join last click source with transaction. However, it's way harder to catch the very first touch point, and especially for B2B businesses, real estate, and every business with a longer decision-making process, you might find really valuable to catch the very first touch point, not the last one, because the last one, for instance, could be email, but it's not the channel there your marketing can invest in, right, in terms of increasing acquisition. Well, so in order to handle this challenge, there is a solution to pick marketing data lake. It could be Google BigQuery, Redshift, Azure, you name it. So for marketing purposes, the most easiest way to use Google BigQuery, because it's fully managed. And once you join digital and offline data, you might find a lot of valuable and insightful reports there. Well, and it calls you to the closing the loop. So the goal, once you, for instance, going to negotiate this activity with colleagues of yours, and you say, hey, to your marketing leader, I'm going to join our CRM data and Google Analytics data, and you probably hear the question, hey, why, right? So why we need it? So the simple answer is that we need to close the loop between marketing and revenue in order to be on the same page with CFO and sale. As you know, everyone knows that it's hard to deal with some inaccurate numbers with C-level. I'll add some clearly and well-known article how to marry CRM and Google Analytics data based on client IDs. So for those of you who would like to go with implementation of this approach and Google BigQuery as marketing data lake, please feel free to check it out. I hope you find it useful. And as I promised, one more case study with client of ours. It's Darjeeling. They use Google BigQuery to merge CRM data and online data in order to build reports about acquisition campaigns. I'm not going to stop for a long time on this case because it's really insightful and useful. I definitely recommend you to check it out by yourself, followed by this link. It's this story unpack not just business inputs and outputs. You can find the clear data flow schema and step-by-step implementation guide as well. So last but not least, this is my favorite one. So it turns out that in most reports, thanks to Google Universal or even Classic Analytics, almost every analyst used to use data range on a session levels only. So for instance, if you say, hey, I needed a report for last January, for instance, and what does it mean January? Okay, it's a time range from 3rd January to 31, right? However, what kind of entity, what kind of object we're going to filter out with this data range? And the trickiest thing is that we can limit the users only with this data range, but not the conversions, not the qualified leads, and even not the sales. And why it is important? Because with the traditional way, if you go with, for instance, Google Analytics, as soon as you limit the data range for your visitors, you filter out all the conversions that were happened after this period. So it has no sense if you would like to measure efficiency of some of your acquisition campaigns that you invested in January, even if users require some time to convert and make their decision and make purchasing on your website in a few weeks, for instance, right? So it makes sense to put the data range and a filter on an entity level. Let's put it another way. For instance, you would like to answer to the question, hey, then were the first visits from the customers who made their first purchase during the February, right? So you don't want to limit their sessions for sure on a February only, right? So you would like to track them from the very beginning, especially if you nurture them, you invest in display campaigns, in social media, all those channels that are extremely valuable and efficient on the top levels funnel, right? So with this approach, you're able to filter out with criteria and with data ranges that are related to particular entities that I present here. So in order to give you an idea of how it works, here's a chart of one of case study with SEMrush. So we use this approach in order to analyze funnel from channel perspective associated with particular sales funnel step. So I don't want to insist to unpack and explain this chart from this case from a one only chart. Feel free to ping me or to fill the demo form if you'd like to hear more, if it's applicable for your business. However, the goal is to highlight that you can find a lot of valuable insights once you start thinking from the funnel perspective and filter out on the entities level, not on the sessions only. Well, the last but not least, I would like to cover all the challenges and happy to answer your questions. So feel free to send them out into chat. Meanwhile, I'll just name them to make it easier to recall. So the first challenge that we discussed is the solving direct none problem. It's solved with cookie-less implementation that extends cookie lifespan. The second one is find the source of truth for your reports. The way to solve it is to marry your digital data with CRM. The third one, close the loop between marketing and revenue. So it's based on the same technically same approach to marry CRM and digital data. However, from different perspective, you need to catch the very first touch points in order to measure acquisition campaigns. And the last but not least that I recently mentioned is analyzing marketing funnel from different angles. So there is a really awesome dashboard that I will be more than happy to share to you in one-on-one meetings that unpack this approach. So the dashboard that lets you to filter out and implement new way to analyze your funnel once you're able to filter out and build a cohort segments on the fly. So for instance, apply some data ranges on a top funnel objects on a bottom one as you wish. And so here we are. Well, I promise it would not too boring, and I hope you find it useful and applicable for your business, just in order to give you an idea of where blind spots are. And it would be extremely valuable for me to hear from you. Was it worth it to attend this webinar? We spent about 30 minutes and we right in time. Please feel free to share your feedback, especially if you have some suggestions, not just a positive one. I would really appreciate it. And do you remember early when I told with the keen work together? So I understand that every business is unique. It's hard to to give the silver bullet for every business, especially on this format like webinar. However, I'll be happy to hear your challenges, your concerns that you face with on your real life. And it might be really applicable to use our service. We have to figure out if we have a good fit in order to use our product here. So please feel free to fill out this form just in order to see it live in a demo data, how these blind spot can be handled, and how can you deal with your data freely once you eliminate those blind spots as well. And the way how it works is the following: you just can unlock a better way to work with marketing data. I just want to highlight a really important thing that on a daily basis, we focused on some routines like, update reports, check out some already implemented tech solution. However, marketing change continuously. So there is no way to rely on an existing stack and expecting new results. So if you're on the process of considering a way to adjust your marketing for cookieless, upgrade Google Analytics 4, it would be great to hear more about your challenges and share, our insights and our experience here. So feel free. Outbox.com/demo. By the way, if you're already Google BigQuery user, we'll be happy to share you free add-on and guide you how to set up it during this demo in order to automate your reports in Google Sheets based on Google BigQuery data, in case if you're already Google BigQuery client or going to become it. Well, that's it for today. I was more than happy to hear your questions, and thank you very much. Thank you very much for those of you who send the reactions. I just paused for a while to answer questions that I found on the chat. So the question: have you got experience with Azure? Yes, some of our customers use Azure as a destination source for marketing data, and so it works on a following way. All the data digital data is collected, for instance, in Google BigQuery, blended, cleaned, and delivered to Azure in order to be connected to Microsoft Power BI, for instance. Yeah, so it's definitely makes sense for organizations that are already Microsoft customers. Well, as far as I see, we're all set, and we'll be happy to talk to you during the demo. Feel free to download this presentation once you fill the form and watch the recording, and have a great day. Thank you.